Did you know that Ukraine used to be the world's largest producer of sunflower oil? In fact, its vast golden fields supplied nearly half of the global market. But with war disrupting the region, global supply chains have taken a major hit. So, who's stepping up to fill the gap? With Ukraine struggling to sustain its sunflower oil output, other players have rushed in. Russia, led by giants like Rusagro, is now the top global producer, even finding new routes from Baltic terminals to markets in India and Southeast Asia. Meanwhile, Argentina, the EU, and even Serbia's dehulled are scaling up production to meet growing demand. So the world adjusts, but how exactly is sunflower oil made? Let's start back at the source, the fields. Sunflowers are planted in early spring, thriving under long, warm days. As they grow, their golden heads follow the arc of the sun, a phenomenon called heliotropism. By late summer, their petals wither and the heavy heads droop, signaling it's time for harvest. Specialized machines called combine harvesters sweep through the fields, cutting the plants and collecting thousands of seeds per minute. These seeds, small, dark, and packed with oil, are loaded into trucks and sent to the factory. The journey from sunshine to sunflower oil has just begun. But before we step into the factory, I'd like to ask you a question. Are you cooking with sunflower oil? Let me know in the comments. I'm curious to know. And now let's continue with the factory process. At the factory, the seeds arrive dusty and mixed with stems, leaves, and soil. They first pass through vibrating screens to remove large debris, then into air classifiers, where a blast of air lifts away lighter particles like husks and dust. Next, gravity separators sort seeds by weight, removing damaged or empty ones. Finally, magnetic separators catch any stray metal fragments. The clean seeds are dried to the perfect moisture level and stored in silos, fresh, uniform, and ready for processing. From here on out, it's all about unlocking the oil inside. Before oil can be extracted, the sunflower seeds must be dehulled, their tough outer shells removed. Inside high-speed dehulling machines, the seeds are cracked open using impact and friction. The broken shells are then separated from the kernels using airflow and sieves. The result? Clean, oil-rich kernels, the part we actually want, ready for crushing. The discarded hulls are often reused for fuel, feed, or even industrial materials. Nothing goes to waste. The dehulled kernels are ground into a coarse paste called seed meal, thick, gritty, and rich with trapped oil. This paste is gently heated to about 60 to 70 degrees Celsius in conditioning tanks. The warmth softens the meal, loosens the oil, and deactivates enzymes that could spoil the final product. Now warm and pliable, the seed meal is ready for the next big step, extraction. At the heart of any oil mill lies one of the most powerful machines on the floor, the screw press, also known as the expeller. The preconditioned seed paste is fed into the press through a hopper at the top. Inside, a giant rotating screw, housed within a tightly fitted metal barrel, begins its work. As the screw turns, it pushes the seed paste forward along its spiral groove, applying increasing pressure with each inch. The space between the screw and the barrel becomes narrower, and the pressure builds, slowly crushing the paste, cell by cell. Under this intense compression, the oil begins to seep out. Small perforations in the barrel allow the liquid to escape, while the solid residue, now called oil cake or press cake, continues to move forward and is eventually expelled out the end. The first trickles of oil are thick, dark, and warm. This is known as crude sunflower oil, unfiltered, unrefined, and full of tiny seed particles. It may not look like much yet, but it's packed with potential. Meanwhile, the leftover press cake still holds a small amount of oil. Some factories stop here, using the press cake as high-protein animal feed, but others go a step further, sending the cake through a solvent extraction unit, where a chemical like hexane is used to draw out the remaining oil. This method allows for nearly complete oil recovery, especially in large-scale operations. Whether the oil comes from pressing or solvent extraction, it's then sent through a settling tank, where gravity allows heavy solids to sink and light particles to float, helping to begin the initial purification process. The crude sunflower oil flows from the press into a holding tank, where gravity does some of the initial work. Over several hours, heavier particles sink to the bottom, while lighter ones float. This natural separation gives the first layer of purification. But gravity alone isn't enough. The oil still contains fine sediments, gums, and microscopic solids, all of which must be removed before refining. That's where mechanical filtration comes in. The oil is pumped through a series of filter presses, powerful machines that use layers of tightly woven cloth or paper filter sheets to trap solid impurities. As the oil moves through, particles larger than a few microns are caught in the mesh, while the purified oil flows through. Depending on the factory, this process might happen in multiple stages, each filter finer than the last, removing progressively smaller contaminants. These filters are often arranged in a closed loop, so there's no contact with air, helping preserve freshness and prevent oxidation. What's left is a much cleaner product, filtered sunflower oil that now looks clearer, flows more easily, and has shed most of its impurities. But it still isn't quite finished. While the filtration stage improves clarity and removes debris, the oil still contains natural gums, waxes, free fatty acids, pigments, and odors, all of which affect its stability, flavor, and shelf life. To get it ready for cooking, bottling, and storage, the oil now heads to one of the most critical stages in the entire process: refining. Refining is where chemistry, engineering, and food science all come together, and it happens in a series of tightly controlled stages, each targeting a specific impurity, each bringing the oil one step closer to purity. The first challenge? Gums. These naturally occurring phospholipids are sticky and make the oil cloudy. To remove them, the oil is gently mixed with hot water or dilute acid in a reaction tank. This causes the gums to coagulate, clumping together so they can be separated from the oil. After neutralization, the oil is washed several times with warm, soft water to remove any remaining soap, salt, or chemical residues. Finally, the last, and perhaps most critical step, deodorization. Though the oil is now clean, it still retains subtle aromas from the original seed. To remove them, the oil is heated under vacuum, often up to 180 to 230 degrees Celsius, while a stream of steam is passed through it. The steam strips away volatile compounds and odor molecules, leaving the oil neutral, mild, and ready for any cuisine. This final stage also helps destroy any remaining microbes, giving the oil a long shelf life without preservatives. At this point, the transformation is complete. But there's one final step before it reaches your table: bottling and packaging. Automatic machines fill bottles at high speed, seal them, and label each one with batch numbers and expiry dates. Then bottles are boxed, stacked, and shipped, headed to supermarkets, restaurants, and kitchens around the world. Thanks for joining us on this exciting food journey. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the foods that shape our world. And just in case you have missed some of the older episodes, we have you covered. We have attached a special selection of past Factory View episodes to this video. So stay with us and enjoy more fascinating food discoveries. See you in the next episode. Did you know that some bottles of sherry vinegar are older than your car and even your college degree? That's right. This rich, tangy elixir is aged for up to 30 years, just like fine wine. But wait, this isn't your average vinegar. Sherry vinegar comes with centuries of Spanish tradition, a secret aging process, and flavors that'll blow your taste buds away. Today we're going inside a Spanish vinegar factory to discover how sherry vinegar is made, from grape to barrel to bottle. Spoiler alert, there's fire, fermentation, and a whole lot of oak barrels involved. Long before sherry vinegar was bottled and sold in gourmet stores, it started, as many great things do, by accident. In the cellars of southern Spain, Sherry winemakers would occasionally discover barrels that had left too long, exposed to a little too much air. The wine would begin to sour. What could have been a disaster became a discovery. They tasted it. It was sharp, but also complex. A little wild, a little woody. The vinegar that emerged was unlike anything else, richer, deeper, and full of the same character that made their wines famous. Over time, what was once a mistake became a deliberate craft. Vinegar makers in the Jerez region began selecting wines on purpose, using the same grapes, the same barrels, and even the same Solera aging system as sherry winemakers. In 1994, the European Union granted it protected designation of origin status. Now only vinegar made in the Jerez Triangle, using traditional methods, can legally be called vinagre de Jerez. So while it started in the shadows of wine cellars, sherry vinegar has grown into a proud tradition in its own right. A perfect balance of acid and art, chance and choice, aged not just in barrels, but in history. Every drop of sherry vinegar begins its life not as vinegar, but as wine. And not just any wine. Sherry wine, born in the sun-drenched vineyards of southern Spain. The grapes used are mostly Palomino, a variety that thrives in the chalky white soils of the Jerez region. These soils, called albariza, act like natural sponges, soaking up winter rains and slowly releasing moisture through the long, hot summers. After harvest, the grapes are pressed and the juice is fermented into a dry white wine, the base for traditional sherry. But instead of being consumed as wine, a portion of it is set aside for something even more special: the long transformation into vinegar. And here's the twist. The wine isn't immediately soured. It's often fortified with a bit of grape spirit to stabilize it, just like traditional sherry, preserving its flavors before it begins its slow journey toward acidity. So before it ever turns tangy, sherry vinegar begins as a carefully crafted wine, full of complexity, history, and the character of the land it came from. Now that we have our sherry wine, it's time for transformation, from wine to vinegar, through the natural process of acidification. This is where alcohol meets oxygen, and nature takes the wheel. Special bacteria, called acetobacter, go to work, feeding on the alcohol and converting it into acetic acid, the molecule responsible for vinegar's signature sharpness. But this isn't just letting wine sit out in the sun and hoping for the best. In a modern factory, conditions are carefully controlled. Temperature, airflow, and exposure time are all monitored to ensure a clean, consistent fermentation. Some producers use stainless steel tanks equipped with aeration systems to speed up the process. Others take a slower, more traditional route, allowing the vinegar to develop at its own pace in wooden vats. As the alcohol slowly disappears, something new emerges: a complex, deeply aromatic liquid, still sharp, but layered with the first hints of what will become that unmistakable sherry vinegar flavor. At this stage, it's technically vinegar, but it's still young, raw, and brash. To become the real deal, it needs something more: time, wood, and the wisdom of the Solera system. Now comes the heart of what makes sherry vinegar truly extraordinary: the Solera system, a traditional aging method borrowed from sherry wine production and perfected over generations. The bottom row holds the oldest vinegar, sometimes decades old. The rows above contain progressively younger batches. This is the Solera y Criadera system, equal parts aging and blending, science and art. A small portion of vinegar is drawn from the bottom barrels for bottling, but they're never emptied. Instead, they're topped up with vinegar from the row above, just a little. Then that row is refilled with vinegar from the next youngest row, and so on. This creates a living, evolving system where the old vinegar teaches the young, and every drop contains a trace of the generations before it. But aging here is about more than just time. The barrels, usually made of American oak, impart rich, woody notes, letting the vinegar breathe and oxidize slowly. Over years, the vinegar darkens, thickens, and develops intense layers of flavor. Nutty, fruity, even a little smoky. Some vinegars are aged for 6 months, others for 10, 20, even 30 years. The longer it rests, the more concentrated and complex it becomes, until what began as simple wine becomes a culinary treasure. After years, sometimes decades of careful aging, the vinegar is finally ready to take its place among the finest flavors in the culinary world. But before it ever sees a bottle, it must pass one final test: perfection. In a dedicated lab within the factory, trained technicians and master tasters begin their work. Here, every batch is evaluated, not just by machine, but by human senses honed over years. They analyze acidity levels, density, color, and aroma, ensuring it meets strict standards set by the denomination of origin, Vinaigre de Jerez. Only vinegars that fall within the precise range of acidic strength, at least 7%, and exhibit the complex, nuanced character expected of aged sherry vinegar, are approved for bottling. If it doesn't pass, it waits, it rests, it evolves further until it does. Once approved, the vinegar moves to the bottling line, where centuries of tradition meet modern efficiency. Large wooden vats slowly feed the vinegar into stainless steel pipes, filtering gently to preserve flavor. Bottles are washed, dried, and filled with care, often by machines but under human supervision. Each is sealed with cork or screw cap, then labeled, sometimes by hand for artisan lines. Labels include vintage age, origin, and sometimes even the bodega name, a mark of pride. For rare vinegars aged over 10 or 20 years, the packaging is often just as refined as the contents. The vinegar, once humble wine, transformed by time, oak, and expertise, is ready to travel. From a small town in southern Spain, it now heads to gourmet kitchens, fine dining tables, and curious home cooks around the world. While all sherry vinegars share a common origin, some varieties take the craft to an entirely different level: rare, aged, and revered. Among the finest is Vinagre de Jerez Reserva, aged for at least 2 years, and Gran Reserva, which rests in oak for over 10 years. These aren't your everyday pantry staples. They're complex, velvety, with flavors that linger long after the last drop. Bottling limited editions aged for 20, 30, even 50 years. These are often drawn from the oldest barrels in a Solera, some dating back to generations past. And the price? A single bottle of high-end sherry vinegar, Gran Reserva, can fetch hundreds of dollars, especially if it's artisan-made, aged in rare barrels, or tied to a legendary sherry house. With notes of dried fruit, toasted almond, vanilla, and spice, these vinegars are treated like fine perfume, used drop by precious drop. For chefs and collectors alike, they're not just condiments, they're liquid heirlooms. And there you have it, the incredible journey of sherry vinegar, from sun-soaked vineyards and sherry wine barrels to aging cellars filled with time and tradition. It's a process that blends science, history, and flavor into something far more than just vinegar. It's a legacy in a bottle, crafted with patience, perfected through generations, and poured with purpose. So the next time you splash a little on a salad, glaze a piece of meat, or stir it into a sauce, know this: you're tasting centuries of craftsmanship and the soul of southern Spain. If you enjoyed this behind-the-scenes look into the world of sherry vinegar, give this video a thumbs up, drop a comment below about your favorite way to use it, and subscribe for more deep dives into the foods we love but rarely think about. And just in case you have missed some of the older episodes, we have you covered. We have attached a special selection of past Factory View episodes to this video. So stay with us and enjoy more fascinating food discoveries. See you in the next episode. Iberico pigs, the world's most luxurious pork. In a forgotten corner of Europe, where ancient oak trees spread their arms over wide sunlit pastures, lives an animal unlike any other. This is the dehesa, a vast agro-silvo-pastoral landscape unique to the Iberian Peninsula. It's a place shaped by both nature and centuries of careful human stewardship. And it's here that the story of the Iberico pig begins. These black-coated pigs live in harmony with the land. They forage freely, grow slowly, and yield meat so exquisite it's compared to fine wine or aged cheese. Can you believe that a single leg of this special breed can cost around $4,000? That is a remarkable price for a piece of meat. Join us today at Factory View to see why this special pig is revered by chefs, prized by gourmets, and protected by Spanish law. Let us reveal to you why the Iberico pig is not just livestock, but a living heritage. Let's dive in. The Iberico pig is a rare breed native to Spain and parts of Portugal. With roots that stretch back thousands of years, it is believed to be descended from wild boar and early domesticated pigs. Shaped over centuries by climate, terrain, and diet, these pigs are easily distinguished by their black hair, long snouts, and elegant, athletic build. But the true hallmark of the breed lies beneath the surface, their ability to store fat inside the muscle fibers. A genetic gift that results in the extraordinary marbling that defines Iberico meat. Breeding Iberico pigs is a careful process. Farmers look for traits like good muscle tone, high intramuscular fat, disease resistance, and maternal instinct. Only the best are chosen to carry the breed forward. In some farms, purebred Ibericos are maintained for the highest quality jamon, while others are crossbred with Duroc pigs, producing animals that grow more efficiently but still deliver exceptional taste. Each litter represents a delicate balance, flavor that is truly world-class. From the moment they are weaned, Iberico pigs live as few livestock ever do, free to roam, explore, and forage in the oak-studded savanna of the Dehesa. This habitat, exclusive to parts of Spain and Portugal, is more than just pasture. It's an ecosystem where pigs, trees, and farmers coexist in a finely balanced cycle. The pigs help regenerate the forest by spreading seeds and clearing undergrowth. In return, the land provides them with wild herbs, grasses, and, most importantly, acorns. Each year, from October to February, the Montanera begins. During this ancient feeding season, the pigs feast almost exclusively on acorns from holm and cork oaks. These nuts are high in fat and antioxidants, and they give Iberico meat its signature nutty sweet aroma and smooth texture. A pig can gain up to 1 kilogram of weight per day during the Montanera, with fat accumulating inside the muscle, not just around it, resulting in deep marbling and flavor that melts on the tongue. In a world of industrial farming, the Iberico system is a throwback and a defiant statement. It values quality over quantity, patience over profit. Each pig has access to 2 hectares or more of open land. They grow naturally over 18 to 24 months. That slow pace is essential for developing the flavor and the texture people expect from Iberico. Asterisk antibiotic use is minimal, and growth hormones are strictly prohibited. The result? A farming model that's low impact, regenerative, and deeply respectful of the animals and the environment. When the time comes, the pigs are humanely slaughtered in certified facilities. Then, the transformation begins, from free-ranging animal to culinary treasure. Each Iberico pig yields a wide array of premium cuts. The hind leg, destined to become the legendary jamon Iberico. The front leg, or paleta, smaller and slightly more intense. The loin, or lomo, spiced, cured, and air-dried. And the sought-after fresh cuts, presa, pluma, and secreto, revered by chefs for their succulence and flavor. This isn't mass production, it's precision, craftsmanship, and culinary respect. The crown jewel of Iberico pork is the jamón ibérico de bellota, an artisanal product that takes years to make. First, the legs are buried in sea salt for several days to draw out moisture and begin preservation. Then they are rinsed, hung to dry, and aged for 24 to 48 months or even longer. Some curing houses use controlled environments. Others rely on natural mountain air, allowing the seasons to gradually work their magic. Each ham is tended to by hand. Experts known as maestros jamoneros use their senses, sight, smell, touch, and even sound, to determine when each leg is ready. This is not factory meat. It is handcrafted, slow-aged, and singular in character. In the world of gastronomy, Iberico pork holds a place of honor. While most pork is lean and neutral, Iberico is rich, complex, and silky. Its fat melts just below body temperature, releasing a cascade of flavor. Earthy, nutty, subtly sweet. In fine dining, cuts like secreto or presa are grilled medium rare, like a fine steak. And then there is the jamón. The jamón ibérico de bellota is sliced paper thin and eaten slowly as you would a rare vintage. It needs no seasoning, no sauce, just time, skill, and appreciation. To eat it is not just to taste pork, it's to taste Spain's soul. It may sound too good to be true, but the meat from Iberico pigs offers more than just indulgence. It's also remarkably nutritious. Unlike ordinary pork, the fat in Iberico pork is composed of over 50% oleic acid, the same heart-healthy monounsaturated fat found in extra virgin olive oil. This fat profile helps to reduce LDL, the so-called bad cholesterol, increase HDL, or good cholesterol, support cardiovascular health when consumed in moderation. This is one of the only red meats that fits into a Mediterranean diet. It has the flavor of indulgence, but the chemistry of balance. It's also a powerful source of high-quality protein, B vitamins, zinc, and iron, nutrients essential for energy, muscle repair, and immune function. For chefs and nutritionists alike, Iberico pork is a rare fusion. Flavor, finesse, and function, all in one bite. While jamón ibérico is the most famous export, Iberico pigs yield a world of other gourmet treasures. Lomo embuchado, whole pork loin, cured with paprika, garlic, and sea salt. Chorizo ibérico, rich and smoky, spiced with pimentón. Salchichón ibérico, seasoned with black pepper, aged to perfection. And the tender, fresh cuts, presa, secreto, pluma, each with their own fat profile and flavor nuances. Each product reflects centuries of regional knowledge, from Extremadura to Salamanca, blending spice, smoke, air, and time into culinary heritage. Whether cured or fresh, grilled or air-dried, every cut from the Iberico pig tells a regional story shaped by hands, not machines. In Spain, not all Iberico ham is created equal. That's why a color-coded grading system ensures transparency and traceability. Black Label, 100% purebred Iberico, fed only on acorns in open pasture. Red Label, crossbred Iberico, also acorn-fed and free-range. Green Label, free-range but supplemented with feed. White Label, farm-raised and fed on grain. This system, protected under Spain's Denomination of Origin, DO, guarantees not just quality, but authenticity. When you see a black label, you're tasting the highest expression of the Iberico tradition. In Spain, the act of slicing jamón isn't just preparation, it's performance. A trained jamonero uses a long, flexible knife to carve paper-thin slices from the leg, revealing its marbled interior and glossy amber-colored fat. Done correctly, each slice is a perfect balance of fat and muscle, designed to melt on the tongue and release wave after wave of flavor. Like tea ceremonies or sushi making, precision slicing is part of the ritual, honoring the years it took to raise, cure, and perfect each leg. At a time when the world is rethinking its relationship with meat, the Iberico system offers a powerful example of regenerative agriculture. The dehulled ecosystem supports biodiversity, prevents wildfires, and sequesters carbon, all while allowing traditional animal husbandry to thrive. Iberico pigs play a role in that cycle, turning acorns into nutrient-rich fertilizer, disturbing the soil just enough to help new growth emerge. This is not factory farming. This is sustainable coexistence, where nature, animals, and people benefit equally. Once a well-kept Spanish secret, Iberico pork now appears on gourmet menus and luxury markets around the world. From Tokyo to New York, London to Dubai, chefs and consumers are discovering its unique qualities. and demanding traceability and authenticity with every bite. Yet at its core, Iberico pork remains deeply local, tied to Spain's land, climate, and rural communities. To the people who raise them, Iberico pigs are more than livestock. They are part of a living tradition, a way of life that connects food to land, past to present, and to those who taste the final product. Whether it's a slice of jamón ibérico de bellota or a grilled secreto, it becomes clear. This isn't just meat. It's a legacy, a culture, a flavor of time itself. In every bite of Iberico pork, there's something more than taste. There's heritage, there's craft, there's nature. Slow, patient, and enduring. It's the story of the Iberico pig, an animal raised with care, in a place unlike any other, producing food that feeds not just the body, but the soul. This is more than farming. This is more than cuisine. This is Iberico. If you enjoyed this Factory View episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell for more food journeys, factory tours, and culinary stories. And just in case you have missed some of the older episodes, we have you covered. We have attached a special selection of past Factory View episodes to this video. So stay with us and enjoy more fascinating food discoveries. Thanks for watching and see you in the next episode.